Incidentally, Mr. Mahindra is as well involved in that project. So, Rajeev ji, over to you for your closing remarks, please. So, the panelists could come down, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. I asked Amit, what on earth can I, who's essentially a corporate type of chap, have to say in closing comments after so much insight and depth and wisdom has been shared? And so Amit gave me the easy way out. He said, why don't you share how you create shared value in Mahindra? Just tell us what you do. And you don't have to theorize, you don't have to talk about suppositions. Why don't you just share in a few minutes how you go about creating shared value? And that's just what I want to do. Now, I want to make a statement which some of you might react to with cynicism, but the business strategy, the implementation, and the culture which ensures the strategy implementation flows from our core purpose, which essentially says we want to drive positive change in the lives of our stakeholders and communities across the world to enable them to rise, and we want to do that through businesses that are competitive. We also say that there are three views of the world that we think will bring our core purpose to life. These are, number one, accept no limits; number two, alternative thinking; number three, driving positive change. We call them the RISE pillars, and the question that we are struggling with, or the hypothesis that we believe in, is that we can actually use these three views of the world to create very powerful businesses that drive positive change in the lives of our stakeholders and communities to enable them to rise. You bring these pillars to life through the HR levers. And we have spent a couple of years aligning all the HR levers with these three RISE principles of accepting no limits, doing alternative thinking, and driving positive change. And by the HR levers, I mean things like communication, the recruitment process, the onboarding process, the reward and recognition process, the learning process, the talent management and succession, and the performance management system. Now, that's a bit of a mouthful for those who aren't used to it, so let me not get into the complicated part, except to say that there is institutionally processes, systems, and metrics that are all geared to the three RISE principles, so that in any situation, in any business situation, the behavior of people is driven by these three pillars. Now, in addition to the alignment of the HR levers, we came to the conclusion that what people actually see is behavior. So how do we create and define those behaviors that will bring the RISE pillars to life and create shared value? And we have come up with 5 behaviors, and these 5 behaviors, in addition to the 3 pillars, forms the core of how we create shared value. And we do, these we use in the talent management, reward and recognition, and the performance management system. And I just want to share with you those 5 behaviors. The first one says, we want people to use the whole mind in any situation. And the whole mind really means combining, you could say, masculine and feminine, but the terminology we use is combining the left brain and the right brain, intellect, rationality with intuition, empathy, connection. The second one says we want people to be multipliers of energy, passion, engagement, and this means not being the command and control type. Not for the leader to say, I know it all, here are the answers, but to focus on asking the questions and co-creating the answers. So that's the second behavior. The third behavior has to do with experimentation and innovation, because innovation is at the core of our approach to creating shared value. And this says we want people who know how to manage fear and leverage failure. The fourth one says we want people to be capable of mindfulness. And by mindfulness, we mean the ability to be open to all possibilities. And it implies having the ability of what you would call presence, of being here and now. And fifth one, last but perhaps the most important. We want people to create trust. And trust is created by authenticity, where what you think is what you say and what you say is what you do. That's how we have proved. So just to wrap it up, we use the 3+5 framework to actually create shared value and successful businesses. And these three are, the three are accept no limits, alternative thinking, driving positive change, and the 5 are use the whole mind, be a multiplier, know how to manage fear and leverage failure, be mindful, and create trust. So I thought I would just share with you. I know it's a bit of a mouthful. It is eerily like conscious capitalism, eerily like Shakti. We didn't actually start with conscious capitalism or start with Shakti. We started with our core purpose. And lo and behold, ended up with this. A lot of people are highly cynical. They say, go and talk about this in the Himalayas. This is not in the world of business. But we are very confident that we will produce outperforming businesses and do it this way, which drives positive change in the lives of our stakeholders and communities and enables them to rise even as we get our return on capital employed. Thank you very much.
And as everything, this session has to come to an end.